Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being your show is about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Your Honor. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I think it's so fascinating how they created this very interesting, parallel between the different lives. Obviously, Eugene, for one, is you just literally found out you lost your brother last episode, your oldest brother, and then before you even have time to really fully process that and grieve, he's your entire family is taken from you too. You're all alone. And so the parallels between him having to say goodbye to his entire family, and at the same time, the Baxter family, celebrating. It's oh, Carlo's out. Yay. Oh, this is so amazing. So it's just the constant parallel back and forth of just things being terrible for Eugene, but things kind of working out for the Baxters. Granted, Carlo being he's a little banged up, and it's oh, what happened? It's I had that little heart-to-heart with the dude that killed Rocco. And it's fact of the matter is his head split open like a melon. I was Jesus. And at the same time, I said, Eugene's surrounded by so many people, that's got to be even harder because it's he's the center of attention because it's oh yeah, that's a kid, everyone's there because what happened to your family. And he only had, because obviously he knew ahead of time because Little Mo was when Kofi died, it's don't worry, we got you. So it turns out Big Mo, which I'm assuming is his mom. I don't know, they specifically said that. She seems like that's his mom, but that could be whatever the case may be. Big Mo, it's apparently she's the one that paid for Eugene's family's funeral. All the expenses and stuff like that. But then she puts everything that happened on Lil Mo because it's oh, you went and stole that car. So basically, you're the reason why everything happened. His brother died. His entire family died. His house got blown up. That's all on you because for her, it's you did that without my express permission. So it's showing Big Mo is the one that's in control of Desire and everything. And this is I think he got a little big for his britches and kind of try to make moves and handle things. And it's oh, you swear you were going to look out for the family. Well, sure as hell did a shitty job of that, because it turns out obviously she's we pay what is it, Rudy, $500 or something, $5,000 or something like that. But it's he works for us, we don't work for him, because Lil Mo was he does stuff for us. So when he asks for a favor, it's she's no, that's not how our dynamic works. And because of that shit, now you potentially thrown us into a damn war. So and Lil Mo's kind of pissed because obviously his mom Big Mo made him look small. I'm sure he don't appreciate that. But obviously for Yuji, he wants revenge. He wants back at the Baxters. And it was actually kind of, interesting because, Big Mo talks the reason why she did this, why there's so many people around, is because her mom died when she was 3 and no one came. She kept the body warm and kind of wrapped up, but no one ever came. So I think she didn't want Eugene to have to go through that. It's I want there to be a celebration. I want there to be so many people around, celebrating, not celebrating what you've lost, but to be there for you, through this tough time. And know that we're going to be here for you. Big Mo making it clear, hey, you're going to get your revenge against the Baxters. They're going to get theirs, but I'm going to take things slow. So if you're down with that, Desire's going to look after you. If not, you can go your own way. And she left money there, and he ends up returning it to her. And he's you accidentally left this, or was it a test? And it's I guess she wanted to see, what he'd do. And bringing the money to her shows, all right, your loyalty's to us, and it has to be to us. So at the same time, circling back to the Baxter family, it seems Carlo's got his own thing. He's fentanyl mixed with cut with heroin and stuff. Was that what he was saying? I think so. So it's he's getting some side hustle started in some shape or form. His dad was oh, is this a business meeting? Hey, maybe you should go see your mom and everything. Also love that he'd been because even what was his friend Joey being yo, that was crazy what your dad did. He's what are you talking about? Yeah, it was a gas. Yeah, the house and everything. He's it was a gas leak. Yeah, he was yeah. And Carlo looks at him. It's it was a gas leak, and he was yeah, sure thing. And at first I was wait, does Carlo actually think it was a gas leak? But then I was nah, he's trying to be no, it was a gas leak. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It was a gas leak. You feel me? It's just kind of I don't know. I guess that could be interpreted two different ways. I'm leaning more towards that was just him being don't even say that shit out loud. It was a gas leak. Or whether he legitimately thought it was a gas leak, because I guess he figured maybe killing Kofi was going to be enough. But nevertheless, Obviously, you have Lee getting mixed up in all of this. She's sitting down with Eugene because for her, she's trying to get him she's trying to find Kofi's dad because she needs someone to sign off getting his body examined because she's trying to get a second opinion, on someone examining his body. Eugene, it's like, yeah, me and Kofi have a different dad, so you kind of have to find him on your own. But Lil Mo steps in. It's just kind of like, oh, like, you have the nerve, like, you have this entitlement about you. Like, obviously, you live in a different place, because if you were from this area, you wouldn't walk, you wouldn't dress, you wouldn't talk the way you talk. It's just like, but you come from almost like this place of privilege where it's like, I think most coming out are like, oh, you've never had to, like, struggle for anything, like, and it's kind of kill or be killed in this side of town, And so for being like, don't worry, man, I got that for you. It's like, no, you could go ahead. I got this covered. Like, he talking about taking care of the food and everything. So I thought that was just interesting. I love that he just like rolled up and just start eating off. He's like, let me get some of that. And he's like, I got this covered. And it's just like, okay. So we do see later on that Lee is getting Kofi's body examined, which obviously brings up the question like how that's going to affect the Baxters, which they got their own lane of things to deal with this episode when Big Mo and Lil Mo show up. And he's like, I didn't invite you to my hotel. And it was just kind of like, she just kind of showed up unannounced and was like, all right, so this is what the deal is. It's kind of effed up what you did. You basically ended up killing Kofi and his family for absolutely nothing because, hey, Kofi wasn't the one that did it. Your boy, he died on the 9th. Oh, lo and behold, Lil Mo didn't get Kofi to steal the car until the 10th. Your boy was already dead by the time he stole the car. So you literally did all that for nothing. And you have that look, and I thought it was so interesting. Could you see that look on Carlo's face? Like part of me is like, part of me is like, do you actually feel bad for the fact that you killed Kofi? It might just be more so like, damn it, I thought I did it, mom. Well, because also his mom pushed him to do it. She was like, do this. This is for the family and stuff like that. So I don't know whether it's like, is it more so like, damn, I killed an innocent kid? Or is it more like, damn, like I killed the wrong, like, because that's an important difference because is he remorseful about, oh, I killed someone that was innocent, or because once again, we don't know what went down between him and Kofi. End of the episode, Kofi went to his cell. Beginning of the next episode, Kofi was dead. So it's like, we don't know what was said and done in between that. Kofi was probably confessing his innocence, like, yo, I didn't kill your brother, I had nothing to do with it. And hearing that, Carlo's like, shit, he was telling the truth. Like, so once again, is it remorse for getting the wrong guy, or is it remorse because, damn, I killed an innocent kid? Like, they're like I said, that is a very distinct difference, and even Baxter being too upset about it. And like, obviously it's like, he's like, due diligence. And she's like, who's that? Well, talk to Mr. Diligence about all of that, and kind of walks off. And obviously it's like, get me Cusack. Did that kid actually do it? Because he was like, because obviously everything Cusack put him through, but he was like, yeah, the kid confessed and everything. I was like, yeah, because he had no other choice. But obviously it's like, was there any evidence at his place? And he was like, the kid confessed. He said he did it. And then he was driving the car. And he was like, don't give me none of that cop bullshit saying that this is done. We're talking about my son's death here, so it's not done. So I was like, hands over the recordings and everything, which I was like, oh, she wants to hear him. I was like, right, I forgot. Jimmy heard the recordings, and obviously later on when Gina's listening, you can tell he didn't like. But that's also another thing too. I can't, like, Jimmy seems upset about it, but once again, is it because, damn, we did kill an innocent kid? Not just an innocent kid, an entire, 90% of a family for something they didn't do, or nothing that Kofi did. But at the same time, it is this situation of, does Gina feel remorseful? Or are they so fixated on like, oh, which is, because it's so ironic, because remember what Gina told Jimmy earlier? It's like, oh, like, yeah, like they say like revenge, doesn't solve anything. It's like, yeah, it can't bring Rocco back, but does it make me feel better? She's like, yes. But then at the end, it's like, is she like, oh my God, we killed the wrong kid, even though she was the one that kind of gunned for that situation, I mean, to be fair, the information came back to them because from Cusack, so it was on him. So they probably don't blame themselves too much. Jimmy seems like he's a little upset about it. But like I said, is it just because, like, damn it, the person who actually killed Rocco is still out there? Let me get on top of this. And it seems like maybe that's for Gina, too, until Gina's listening. And she's like, whoa. It's like, oh, it's not even listening to the call. Well, that part of the call, because the call kept going. Because let's not forget, Adam never hung up the phone for a very long time. And they hear, like, oh, him at the gas station. Now it's like, oh, this monster ran over my son, left him, and went to get some gas afterwards. I was like, shit. It didn't even cross my mind to think about. I didn't remember that the phone was on the entire time. I was like, granted, Adam didn't say anything, sure, but I was like, damn. Because I think he brought it up to his dad, because obviously it was the whole thing. I think he brought up the homeless guy cleaning it. I know he brought up the whole stopping for gas. He didn't bring up because to be fair, he was kind of unconscious at the time, but the black car that later was there when he showed up at the crime scene taking a picture there, and the homeless guy. But I think they covered that, but it's like probably won't have to worry too much on that regard. I think they did end up covering that aspect of it, but nevertheless, it's like, oh shit, especially when they're going from a gas station, because like, all right, there were 3 gas stations in that area. Let's check this out. Marked them down, got to home dude, and it's like, yeah, Dylan, yeah, he came in here, deleted them because like obviously he was looking for the man that was having an affair with his wife, and it's like, this guy came here, and it's like, yep, and obviously it's Michael's face, and you're like, all right, so Jimmy knows you have some connection to his son's death. He doesn't know all the details. Granted, there's also that inhaler they never circled back to, so I'm assuming it's like they might have got the information, but because Kofi confessed, they were like, oh, well, we got our guy. We don't have to worry about it. But eventually, it's probably going to be a thing of, oh, we need to correlate this. Oh, wait, we did have that inhaler thing. Well, I don't know. I'm curious, is that inhaler thing going to circle back to anything related to Lee or not? Because obviously Lee's going to be looking into obviously, it's like Charlie warned that, like, you need to keep an eye on Lee because Lee's going to be doing her thing. And obviously she's doing it because she's getting Kofi's body examined again. But, now that's going to put him like, oh, like there's probably going to be like DNA evidence from Carlo. And that's also going to be a cover up because it's going to be like, wait, you're saying that he wasn't here and he managed to get it. Like that's going to cause issues all in its own right. So they're going to be having to deal with that. What I thought was interesting though, like that Big Mo, like was just kind of telling them this information. I'm like, why are you just letting go? I was like, you promised Eugene, but I was like, right. You told Eugene they were going to get back at the Baxters. But it was going to be, basically, she was going to go at it her own pace. She was going to, it's going to be like, we're going to be biting her time. So it's like, going to let the Baxters run around, do their thing, do whatever they want to. And then I guess Desire's going to find the right time to strike back. It's like, oh, regardless of, I get it. You were pissed about your son's death, but you still ended up killing the wrong people. And then you made your quote unquote big move and killed his entire family. I'm assuming Eugene's going to have something to do with that revenge. They're probably going to make sure that he gets the opportunity to. I don't know. They might, because he's so young. I mean, granted, they are mixing him up in this, even though he is so young. So, and I don't know if they'd make him do like some wet work like that. I mean, especially because it's so personal to him. We'll kind of have to wait and see on that. But that also ties into everything with Michael. I thought was so interesting because at the beginning he's in court, and I thought was obviously that case that's in front of him, the guy who stole like, what was it, the $500+ of meat, and him talking about the fact he's getting sober. It's like him and his wife's like 10-year anniversary, and he just wanted to show her like, hey, I've changed. And it's like, for him, it's like, he doesn't want to go away. It's not worried about going away because of him. He's like, I'm worried about going away because my son, I want to be there for my son. I do anything to him. I want him to be proud of me. And obviously Michael can understand that because obviously him and Adam aren't on their best terms, but everything Michael's done is because he cares and loves Adam and he wants to do right by him. And, it's like, yeah, I might have to do some shady stuff, but you're my son. I'm your father. I will do whatever it takes. I love you. So obviously that love and his willingness, that unconditional love and his willingness to go as far as he has, and, Adam feeling the way he does about the whole situation. It's just a complicated relationship. Then it blows up like, Michael gets that phone. It's like someone snuck a burner in there and like, oh, I know that your son did it. And it's like, I was like, oh shit. Here we go. I didn't expect like some blackmail stuff, but I mean, it makes sense because his name is in the newspaper about the car and everything. My immediate thought was like, oh, it's got to be who's ever in the black vehicle. And lo and behold, thank you, nosy ass neighbor Amy, coming through, because they set that up and nothing really came about that, where she was just constantly watching the house. We've seen that a couple times over the course of the show, but it comes through and she was like, oh, it's some white dude in this particular car. I was like, okay. I was like, good job, Amy. Being nosy comes in play. Granted, Michael's looking all over for Adam. Django's having a seizure. I was like, damn, dude, that's rough. At first I was like, is Django dead? Especially when he dropped Django. I was like, oh, but he's like, I'm sorry. But he's whimpering. I was like, okay, it sucks that you dropped him. I was like, oh, but he's okay. He's okay. I was like, because you're like, oh, poor little dude. Well, big dude. But, Michael's stressing about that. Now he's being, someone's got this information. He doesn't know where Adam is. Speaking of Adam, oh, here you are, sitting nearby, getting close to Rocco's sister, which is Efta. I kind of had a feeling that was kind of going down that lane, especially considering you showed up at his memorial, obviously out of guilt, but also, like, you want to know more about Rocco. Like, I don't know whether, I guess it's some means of dealing with his issues, like the trauma of it all. I have no idea, like, why you're doing that. But getting close to her and everything. And obviously it's like, oh, I kind of know what you're going through because my mom was murdered. And obviously they want to tell you Rocco died quickly, which we, the audience, as well as Adam, know. Oh, it wasn't quick. He was in pain and he suffered. He was drowning in his own blood, So, but he's also like, I understand because, like, he was like, I wasn't there when my mom was murdered, but still. But you can tell him and Rocco's sister are hitting it off, and you're like, man, this is twisted on so many, because he's even like, oh, how you know Rocco? Oh, I met him because of that club. He's like, oh, that club? Well, a t-shirt from that club is what he was wearing. It was my t-shirt he was wearing when he died, and it's like, oh. I guess that's why. I mean, he was stalking Rocco's Facebook and stuff like that before. Because let's also not forget, he's in a complicated emotional state right now because Franny kind of was, it's like, oh, you're not worried about, you're worried that because I'm so emotionally and feeling guilty about the whole Rocco thing, that more so than anything, you're worried that I might spill the beans about our relationship, which obviously would not only destroy her career, most likely get her arrested too. Rightfully so, but it's like, ugh. So now it's a situation of like, oh, now now it's in that weird place of like, oh, you're potentially going to date. At the very least, you're getting close to the girl, the sister of the dude that you accidentally killed, and basically cause this ripple effect all across so many damn people's lives. So there's that. Michael confronting Adam about like, oh, you didn't give Django his medicine, that's why he had the seizure. Even to the point like it's potentially going down the route of like liver failure and shit. It's like, damn, bro. And so on top of that, it's like, I was like, are you going to tell Adam? And it's like, no, because he already sees how much the guilt is eating away at him. If he finds out someone's blackmailing us, he will probably just more likely turn himself in. So the dude's like, I want $222,000. And I'm like, okay. I was like, who the hell could it be? And then the guy started talking, and I was like, they said white dude, but I was like, who could it be? And then the dude sent him a picture to prove, like, oh, I did it. Like, you think I don't have any evidence, and you think I don't have the balls? He's like, lols, you need proof? Here. And it's like the picture from the gas station. So I was like, the SOB from the car? It didn't even correlate in my head to think that SOB was going to be blackmailing. But the moment he saw the newspaper, like, oh, this mother effer's a judge? Oh, I got some info. Ooh, I can get paid from this, But obviously Michael couldn't get all the money because moving that large amount of money out of both his account plus the college fund he had for Adam, like, it would have taken time. It would have taken like 40. They needed like at least 48 hours notice. He needed to get there by like 6 p.m. But now it's because the moment like he was like, oh, I know what area you were in, and I know what car you drive. But also like the fact is, it's like, damn, this guy does have proof. Granted, I mean, Adam's face isn't turned all the way, but it is enough to be like, oh, that's not Kofi. So it's kind of like, oh, so you can probably put together stuff to be like, yeah, that's definitely Adam. No concrete evidence, but because I don't think from the photo you can tell it's his face because he got the hoodie up. But I mean, I didn't stare close enough, so it could be like, hey, he is turned enough to look at the dude. But it's like pretty ballsy of that dude to take advantage. Obviously shows you where his morals are. It's like, oh, rather than doing what's right, let me get paid. But what he doesn't know is Michael's got his info. Michael knows your license plate number. He wrote it down. So it's like, oh, he's going to jump on top of that. Well, at the same time, Jimmy's going to jump on top of him. And it's like, dude, things are moving. Once again, what you have to remember too is we got like 4 episodes left. Well, 5 actually. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 5 episodes. So I'm like, okay, so we're at the halfway point of this season, meaning there's still plenty of turns and developments and places for this to go. Like I said, Big Mo's kind of sit back. She's like, oh, drop this bomb on Jimmy about everything going on. Okay then, but on top of that, it's like, which is also going to be interesting, especially when it probably gets revealed where like Jimmy's daughter starts bringing Adam around, and that's probably going to lead to some complicated stuff, because it might even be to the point like he's nearby and then he has like an asthma attack or whatever, and then Jimmy's going to hear that and be like, it was you, and probably put two and two together, and that's probably what's going to lead him to be like, hey, I'm looking into this, finally look into this inhaler, because we never got the evidence back. Because right now he's looking at Michael, but it's also like Michael's a judge, so it probably can't be quick to do anything there until, I mean, he probably wants to also make sure, you know, but it's all, like I said, there's too much like, oh, the car that ended up killing my son is you, and it's like, but it was used to kill my son before Kofi stole it. Whatever moves Desire has planned is going to be interesting. How Michael's going to handle this whole blackmail thing. Like I said, he doesn't know who the dude is, but he knows, like, oh, like, I know I have your license plate and jump on top of that. So we'll see where this all, I'm very, very interested to see where ultimately all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.